So I think that your outlook on life all depends on the mindset you bring to it. And I have learned in the recent years that Mark Hite has a way of bringing a positive mindset to his outlook each and every day. So for all of you home buyers and home sellers out there, get ready for a little optimism this morning because Mark is here. Good to see you.
Well, you get to choose your reality.
You do. I mean, that's a completely true statement.
I mean, you wake up every morning and decide, is this going to be a bad day or a good day? Now, life's going to throw a bunch of stuff at you, but how you manage it up here is the most important piece.
So how you manage up here is sometimes the one bit of control you can have in an out of control world. So you've watched in your industry the last couple of years, you can't control who chooses to sell a house.
Right.
You can't control what the interest rates are going to be. You can control what advice you give your client, and that's what you do every day.
Absolutely, 100%. And you know, inventory has gone up, up, up. You know, when we sat here in March, April, we were looking at 650 homes available for sale. Well, this morning, Julie, there were 1,909.
That's great. That's triple.
That's triple, a 300% increase in 6 months. So for the people that were distracted and thought, well, I can't sell my house, where would I go?
Right.
Well, there's a lot more choices. And if they were home buyers that were getting beat out in multiple offers, well, there's a lot more to choose from, and we're seeing sellers begin to be negotiable as well. It's not list price plus. You know, they're beginning to help with closing costs.
I want to be a little bit careful how I say something because I have an idea in my head that might not be a fair one to say, but here I go.
Okay.
It was a difficult time to be a realtor too in the days where you had just 650 houses on the market. For one thing, there are a lot of realtors in town.
Yes.
Not everybody can get their bid across the table for their client to close. You also had to, it kind of weeded out some people who were in it for the love of what they do.
Yes.
Versus those who just, it was an easy side hustle. You've got to be dedicated. I mean, I know kind of where I'm stepping, but that's a fact, isn't it?
It really is, because this is the biggest investment in most of our lives. And so if the person's that's supposed to represent you is just worried about getting a commission check and getting across the table and not making sure you got the best price, regardless of what the market was at that time, you got a good inspection, you knew what you were getting into. It was just like the lady that was in here said her son bought a house sight unseen. And they had a home inspection. There were some surprises, but they had a good advocate. And that's what you want in any market, is somebody who's an advocate for you.
So, again, part of that comes to, because there are skepticisms that people have, and I get that, it's just a natural thing. So to the interest rate point, you can't control that either. Right now they're going up, but if you are buying the house, the better to go ahead and buy while the cost of the house is reasonable than the cost of the house going way, way up. Because
locally we have not seen housing prices decline. So over the summer, it's slowed down the rate of appreciation. So in the first quarter, we sat here with a 20% appreciation. In the third quarter, we saw an 11% appreciation.
Right.
So we're seeing more price adjustments, so there's more negotiation. And as these interest rates have gone up, we've partnered with Mortgage Investors Group, a local Tennessee-based realtor, lender, and they have this great program. It's a 2-1 buy down. You're like, what's that? Mark, I haven't talked about buy downs in 20 years. So the reality is, the seller can pay to have your rate bought down. So if your rate's 7% today, for the first year you would have a 5% interest rate. The second year, if the interest rates you're locked at 7.
So it's like an ARM kind of.
Yes, it's an adjustable rate mortgage, but for the first 2 years it is set, and then you know what your third year is. It doesn't continue to go up increasingly.
Okay.
So it's a good program where you can find the house you want today and get a more affordable interest rate during this period while they're appreciating. I
don't know how much changed pre-2008 and post-2008 in the lending world, but didn't there used to be a thing where you could, if you bought a house at a great mortgage rate, interest rate, if you ever sold the house, that could be transferred over to the seller, the buyer? It's
called assumable. Yes. And there are FHA products and some conventional products that are assumable, meaning that 2.75% interest rate that you have, you know, as an owner, if the person brings the cash to make you whole for the purchase price, then they can assume your low interest rate for the balance of the loan period.
So they can't finance it. They have to pay cash.
No. They're going to assume your mortgage.
Okay. Okay.
So you're made whole. And,
I gotcha.
Yep, and so you're released from the mortgage, and then they get to keep that rate.
I'm having a ditzy day. You're not the first one that I've made a kind of silly spectacle of myself with.
I think, but you highlight the confusion around interest rates and buying, and that's why you want a local loan originator to sit down and talk to you about what's the best choice for your family.
Okay, let's talk about that too, the local side of things, because you mentioned there's 1,600 and change houses on the market right now, but isn't it typical for us to have closer to 3?
So if you went back to 2019, we were about 3,800 this time of year.
So we're
still
low.
half of where we were pre-pandemic.
That's where word of mouth comes in, right? Because people often will come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying or selling my house. So then you can begin to let your clients know, hey, this one's going to come available. That's all really important.
We do a whole lot of matching in advance, and we didn't learn it, we honed that skill when we had 600 houses out there, because it was all about finding the house before. And we still do a significant Coming Soon program where we're marketing houses that we have coming in the pipeline.
Right.
But they're not quite ready yet.
You also, we can touch on this too, I guess this is the logical thought process behind it. You've got the the guaranteed offer program. So if somebody has a house and it's been maybe not tended well, you can buy it, that helps that person, then you can sell it to somebody else who doesn't want the headache of fixing it up. You're
exactly right, and it works in a variety of ways. I just put one under contract in Saudi Daisy, and it was a home that was his house and then remarried, and it was now it wasn't their house.
Yeah.
And so I bought the house as is so they could move out and get their house. We'd put a roof on it. We painted it and did the renovation that it needed, and now it was a great $200,000 house that had multiple, buyer prospects yesterday. Other thing I did, I just contracted one in Dalton. The buyers wanted a historic home that I owned, that I had purchased in the guaranteed offer. But they had a big house themselves. I mean, I don't buy mansions, but they had a significant home, but they had little babies and the thought of getting the house ready. So I'm buying their house so that they in turn can buy one of mine. So, change the subject. Doctors, I think most of them really don't like it when you play Google Doc, right? You'll Google your symptoms and then come in and say, but Google said, is it a difficult thing in the real estate world to have people go on Zillow and say, but my house is worth this according to Zillow? Information is available all over the internet. And so what you need is someone to interpret the information. Because, as we've seen in all the political and all the stuff, anything can come out on social media or be on TV or online saying whatever. But you really need a local professional to interpret what's going on. And so if you're knowledgeable and confident, I can provide a better product and actually deliver a number that Zillow doesn't promise you. Right. That's right. And you have to look at what pricing is everything, because even though there are 1,600 plus houses, you want yours to sell fast. So if you don't price it right, less than a minute left, it won't sell, right? Don't be greedy. Oh, that's why we're seeing the days on the market grow. Because, I mean, significantly, where we were down 12, 14 days on the market, we're now 24, 28 days on the market. So if your house isn't priced right, it's not going to move. It's going to last longer on that market. Okay, so here's how you get in touch with him, because he's the face, but there are a lot of faces behind the scenes that you will meet once you join their family, because they have seller agents, they have buyer agents, they have all of it. So if you all begins with a phone call, 265-0088. Online, it's markhitehomes.com. And he's right here local. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.